Hey everybody, it's Cheryl. I'm here to do our craft roulette card today, and I had a bonfire this weekend, so this is what happens when you drag firewood and don't fix your nails. But craft roulette has to be turned in tonight. So far, our parameters are sunflower color, card for a dude, bird, and soot. So I decided I'm going to do Santa Claus and stuck in a chimney, and then there's just going to be a bird over here laughing at him, and then I'll come up with some dude-esque comment. So I didn't have any Santa stuck in a chimney stamps, and my printer is acting a fool, so I couldn't go into Canva or something and make a Santa. So this is why I'm not a fine artist. This is Santa stuck in a chimney, and I'm gonna get some inks, and I've got, so these I figure are sunflower colors, and I can get away with bricks, and then the roof can be green, and the bird can be yellow, and then sky blue. So that should do us our colors, and then we'll go from there. So I'm gonna throw some blue paint up in the sky around this, and then I'm gonna have to let it dry. I'll come back and show a little, then back and forth, because this isn't watercolor paper, so it's definitely not going to want me to do ink, and then it's not going to behave as well if I don't be careful. So I'll be back shortly, and well, you won't even know I'm gone. All right, I wanted to share two things. First was, before I did this, I thought I would, I just roughed out a 5x7 square, so when we cut it off, those outside lines will be gone, so we can mount it on a card. This is, I don't even know what brand, it was a off-brand color book, American Crafts color book, smooth white, that I got on clearance at Ollie's. In an ideal world, I would be using watercolor paper, but I was wanting to use what was on my desk. And then a thing I just figured out is don't put this where your mouse is, so you put your wrist in your ink. I also could be using watercolors for this, but I figure we all have, these are not pigment, they're water-based inks. These happen to be Stampin' Up. Use whatever you have, your Simon Hurley or whatever. You might be able to get away with using like a Distress Oxide or something, but your colors are definitely not going to look the same. You also could use your markers. I just sort of wanted a different feel. And if you can't draw, I was thinking about this, like, and we're not doing, pretend you're not doing Santa, but you want to do something cool and you want to use watercolors, but you're not an artist per se, which we can all be artists in just different styles. And I think that's part of what we try to do, is let ourselves free a little tiny bit. And I keep acting like that's a permanent wall there. The thing about having that open space is I can spread it out and not have that weird, because you see over here, because I was trying to stay in the lines, I ended up with kind of a blob. That it will even out some, and if we draw in some clouds or whatever, and once we stick our bird on there, which what I'll probably do is stamp the bird on something else and stick him on top, so I don't have to worry about trying to color in a bird. And I can probably now get away with going to doing the roof or the chimney, whichever I feel like doing. And while this dries, just you just don't want to touch your wet to your wet, or you'll end up with like a muddy yuck. So again, I'll be back shortly. Clean out this water brush. Use whatever brushes you have. I like these because I don't have to go to the sink, because I do not have a sink in my general vicinity, and I apologize, my daughter's calling the dog outside. I'm trying to just wait for her to be done with that. I'll color in some of this roof and the bricks, and I'll be back shortly, and then we'll do some line work, and I'll pause again and stamp and color my little birdie. So I'll be back shortly. All right, back for a sec. So what I did here was I took the Cajun Craze that I had, and I outlined the bricks with a less dilute version of the ink, and then, I mean, a more, yeah, less dilute. and now I have diluted it more. And I will just go over the bricks after they've dried a little so that we're not just smearing it, although that just sort of gives a little natural shading. Again, you can use markers, whatever. I just needed to do something that I could figure out how to do. The colors I needed to do and theme. So this is somewhat stretchy here. And then I clearly got far too much ink. And today I just went with dabbing off my extra ink right here because that's all going to get cut off, and it is what it is. So when that all dries, then I have this for background paper. I'm also, when I get ready to do my bird, I will be doing it, I probably will do some ink smushing to get his colors into place. That way he looks more organic than if I color him, because with the watercolor it'd be silly if he was perfectly colored with markers. Alright, so this is the mess that I like to make when I'm creating. So I will get, this is how I'm getting my soot in. First of all, it's a chimney, so it would have soot. And I'm going to dilute this and put more at the top where the soot would be, and then just sort of blend it down and make it look like this is like concrete or whatever the top of your chimney might be, stone, and sootier at the top. And then I'll probably put a little black soot on his boots. Most likely I'm going to do those with markers because I don't think black is going to show up so great. And again, this is an oxide, so it's not going to look the same. But I don't have a black ink that isn't a pigment ink. I have Memento and I have VersaFine Clear. They're pigment inks that would not work the same. So back shortly. Thanks. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging in with me while I'm learning all this fun stuff and possibly not learning it well, but whatever. I am going to count some colors here, and then I'll stamp the bird over it, but I figured we could do that together, and probably wouldn't be too much of a disaster. Haha, so I say. So this is just some daffodil yellow color. I'm going to put the tiniest bit of this Cajun Craze, which is the color we did the chimney in, and not touch my inks together so I don't ruin my ink pads, but mix those a little bit to get some depth of color to this. And again, this little pouncer is literally a paper towel wadded up with some plastic around it. So I'm getting some color on here. And once we stamp the bird, we can add some shadows if we want. I just feel like this gives us some freedom. So this is the approximate size of my bird, so that looks pretty good. And I will probably fussy cut instead of die cutting, because then when I set it on here, it won't look out of place. And possibly I'll try to do the sneaky thing, which is I will stamp him on and then put his cutout over top of his stamp. That way I don't have to cut out feet, but his little feet will be right there. So this has to dry. I need to stamp it. I don't know where my black is, so we are using Morning Mist, so a gray. And I think I'll do, wait, he's facing the right way. I need it to be looking at, it's going to be a huge bird by comparison because this is what I have. But I think it'll still be cute. It's art, right? We do what we want. My daughter is signing I love you. I think to me could be you guys. She pointed, it's me. Nothing personal, guys. And no, she does speak, but she just didn't want you guys to hear her. And I taught them sign language pretty early, because It's so convenient. If with infants, it's especially convenient, but any age kid being able to, when their mouth is full, ask for something without being obnoxious is fantastic. All right. You can do it. I'm holding it down a little extra because we have kind of a wet medium here, and I'm not going to be able to restamp this. I didn't use a stamping platform. He's a little iffy, so we're definitely going to have to let that dry. And then I didn't think through the eyeballs. I'm going to have to use a white gel pen on his eyeballs. We'll see. So I guess we have our wins and losses together here. And I am going to stamp his little self onto the roof while we've got the stamp out. And I don't need to stamp all of him, I just need his little feet stamped up. Don't touch the ink pad. I don't know about you guys, I sometimes have to give myself a little cheer because I mess things up a lot. And there. So obviously I'm going to cover his body with this guy, but this allows me not to have to try to cut around those little feet. So cheating, I'm sure I learned that from somebody, but I'm one of those binge watching videos people and assume that I don't remember who it was that probably first told me. So let me hit pause. I will get this stuff dry. I will cut this dude out, including chopping off his feet, and I'll be back. Alright. Just trying to keep everything within the taping grid here and with keyboard and everything is a new challenge for me. I tend to make my desk explode within about 20 minutes of my attempt to start creating. So this is new. I decided this card was going to be 5x7. Just I liked having that open bit. So the way to do a 5x7 card is start by cutting on the 8.5 inch side at 7 and cut the 11 inch side to 10. Let's pretend that worked. Score it at 5. And then we can put our card front on. If you want a little border, this is when you go, okay, let's trim that up. I just cut it out to the 5x7, and obviously I don't want to take any of Santa's feet off. So take a little here, and about the same on this side. So 1/16 of an inch, about that, maybe an 1/8. Some things really aren't as complicated as having to make sure every measurement is precise. We'll stick that down there. Let me see where I put my glue runner, because this is going to be easier for now. Mother of... Okay. That did not go to plan. Alright, this is not the greatest of cardstock, apparently. At least not for that. So, today's lesson, well, there's lots of them. That never happened. And we'll get off the glue. Of course, this has been sitting here overnight because I had company here last night, so we were out all night. It's like, this is epic fail city right now. Sorry, it came up with some weird stuff on the screen there. So this lid has its little needle in it, so I'm going to see if that will clear it out. There we go. Good job. We can do it. This makes me very grateful we're putting this on a same colored background, because if we weren't, what I would do is put another sheet of cardstock across the back of this to re-stabilize it, because there's a chance where that's thin, it would pop through. Make sure you have your card opening the wrong way. You don't have your card opening the wrong way. Lay it down. It makes me feel better to rub it from the back, just because then I might not smear ink or anything that I've got going on. Chase down my little bird. I did go around him with a little bit of black in some areas. He felt a little, but the more I messed with it, the more I thought I should stop messing with it. So he's not perfection, but he is cute. So I will accept him as he is. I feel like, aside from the fact that he's over here making fun of Santa Claus, he's a pretty cool dude. This is an older Tim Holtz stamp. I can give you the number or the information if you want. It's not, Bird Crazy, CMS 212. So I don't know if it still exists. I don't know. Well, I mean, it exists, obviously. I found mine secondhand. I have lots and lots of secondhand stamps, because when I first got into stamping, I tend to be like, I don't want to spend a bunch of money on something and then decide I don't want to do that anymore. So darkened that up a little. I did, when I came in with the color for his beak, I put a little bit darker colors where the artist puts these little shadow marks. It makes it easy to act like art is your perfect skill, and you can do that. I'm going to throw on a sentiment and pencil. I think we'll go with dude, because it's a card for a dude. Hope your day gets I just ran out of room. Day gets better. So I would normally go ahead and print this on my printer if it was feeling up to itself. And then after you've done something in pencil, like, so I don't trust my handwriting because I do things like that. But I don't have horrible handwriting. So take your eraser, make it almost go away. If you have a kneaded eraser, even better, because you won't have all this gunk. Then you can just write over, and then your spacing and whatever, you've already made any mistakes when it was in pencil, and it will be done a way that you feel comfortable with. It may not be perfect, but these are handmade cards, and they're supposed to come from our creative side and our heart, not necessarily from perfection. If they wanted, if you want to go buy perfect cards at Hallmark, go for it. Well, except for that, who wants to give them our money when we can play? And then I'm going to let this dry, because I spread out better a little more, because I have a tendency when I'm just writing for fun to do my T's kind of together, and it made the spacing bad. And I'm going to hack this out. I may separate these and I'm going to throw them on, but I have to wait for that to dry and erase, and I'll show you the finished card in a sec. Okay, we're back. I went ahead and inked this with the same, um, I just watered down the Mossy Meadow and did this because I went to put it on and white, it looked really out of place. So I'm just going to glue this on here. And like if you had done this, you could very well have done this by making the roof out of one piece of cardstock, this out of, then you would just, could, if you had a stamp that you wanted to use, you could stamp it on, or you could just do this. So that's our finished card. Obviously, just like anything else, there are going to be things you might have done different, and some days aren't. This isn't my favorite card of all time, but I worked on a new skill. I hand sketched. I did it without cheating with my printer, and I didn't have any stamps for what I needed, so I went with it, and so I'm proud of the result, even if I'm a little bit not as happy as I would like to be. So the next time, if I were to do the same thing again, there's some things I would change, and that is our whole thing, is learning and growing and also making cards to make people happy. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you back next time. Don't forget, next week I'm brand new, so there's a lot of you that'll be new to me, and we're going to have a fall Halloween hop the weekend of the 4th and 5th. I will be on the 5th at 5 p.m. So check that out. I'm going to do a journal using something I found at the Dollar General. So we'll play with that, and hopefully we'll figure out something fun that we can all do with things we can find in our backyard. Thanks. Bye.